Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 19 of the Dan Gheesling podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this Yuletide celebration. What am I talking about? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. If you happen to be listening to this in live at the real time, I don't like to date the podcast, but today would be Christmas Eve if you're listening to this live. So I want to wish you and your loved ones, your family, your friends, your pets, everything, a Merry Christmas from me to you. And I hope you guys enjoy what's going on today. Maybe you're celebrating, maybe you're not, maybe you're still at the gym, maybe you're commuting. But I appreciate you guys putting in the old earbuds, dialing in, and preparing for a good show today. And I'm excited to jump in and talk about what's been going on in the past week. In particular, there's been some interesting stuff going on. First things first, what I have to do, because I went pretty hard in the last episode, and since then, a week's gone by. But I do want to amend a few things that I talked about in particular when I talked about creating the merch and going through the process of making some in-house merch. And really, a really interesting thing happened that I never expect, and this is kind of one of those diary moments, one of those things you don't know what happens or what it's like until it actually happens. But in our community Discord, by the way, essentially, if you don't know what Discord is, it's a place where the community can hang out. It's a program on your phone, on your desktop. If you want to join, DanGheesling.tv/Discord. If you're part of the community and you're not a part of the community in Discord, I don't know what you're waiting for. But basically, it's a place where everyone can hang out when the show is not live, play games together, chat, talk about whatever. And an interesting thing happened in there. Once the hats started to trickle in to people, and I, number one, I didn't think that. This never even crossed my mind that something like this would happen. And number two, my reaction to it was that people started posting the photos of themselves in the hat or getting the hat in the community Discord. And the cool thing about it was I don't know why, I just didn't expect that. And it did a couple things. The first thing for me is like, wow, not that it wasn't worth it before, because that's not the right words. I think it was a great learning experience. I think people enjoyed it. But to see people actually from the community with the hat on or being excited to get it, it was like one picture trickled in, then two, then three, then four. And it was just so, the way I felt about it, I was like, wow, this was really cool. And that people enjoy this. And you get to start putting like a face to some of the people in the community, and it was really cool to see that. And it was something I guess I never even crossed my mind. I didn't go down that route to think that people would post it or people would be fired up. And the other cool thing that happened was that, people were like, hey, how did you get that resin sticker with it? Or what people weren't expecting the little kind of what I like to call bonus or surprise I threw in there. And I like to do that kind of stuff. I like to surprise people when they least expect it and, do something as an additional thank you to all the support. So I think people really enjoyed that. And also a couple of other things happened. That's why I have to amend the statement that I'll never do an in-house thing again. It's not as likely as I would, to maybe do a shirt or something next. But, I got a few tweets and messages saying, hey, there's people that watch the VODs, so people don't watch the shows live. They watch the VODs of the shows, and people are like, oh, I didn't know the hat came out, or I didn't have enough time to order it, or what have you. So I don't think I did a great job marketing the hat by any stretch of the imagination, but it was cool to see that, not that people wanted it and couldn't buy it, but there were more people that next time, if I do a better job marketing it and letting people know, outside of Twitch, because really I didn't market it outside of Discord and Twitch. I didn't post a link on Twitter. I didn't post it on YouTube. I think next time I will do that a little more too as well. Not to the point where it's spammy, but the point where if you're not on Twitch, you still had an opportunity to buy it before it was too late. So I want to amend that statement because I went pretty hard, and I think it was more so, and that's why the podcast is interesting, because it's real-time feedback and insight and fourth wall stuff as it's going on, right? It's not like, and that was the important thing for me when I decided to do a podcast. I didn't want to do things about forecasting or this is what would be nice or an ideal fashion or here's how I would do things. It's more like, here's what's being done. Let's talk about it as they're happening. Let's talk about what we learned from them, the feedback, And I think a lot of people can learn from just what I'm doing here and apply it to whatever their passion is or whatever they're working on. I think that's the goal, for people to walk away with a little nougat of information. And like I said, I think this applies beyond, Twitch and YouTube and things like that. Just, if anything, I hope one of the biggest things I've learned in my short time on this blue globe is I learn the most by doing, and I feel that's applicable to anyone. You do stuff, you try it, and you give it a whirl, and I feel that ties into kind of my next thing. I think I finally got back to or broke through back to where I needed to be on YouTube. And it came to a point where there's a series I wanted to start. I wanted to play some NCAA football. And I'm like, let's put it on the second channel because I don't know. I don't want to put it on the first channel because I'm not sure how it'll do. So I put the first couple episodes on channel 2, and I got in. And this is why feedback is so important. When I say what you guys tweet to me, when you leave comments on YouTube, when you give me feedback in Discord or on Twitch, it means a lot, because the right comment at the right time and the right feedback, or when I hear the same thing over and over. But I got a comment. It might have been in Twitch. It might have been a Twitch chat. But regardless, I remember it almost verbatim. It said, "Hey, Dan, I like the NCAA series on YouTube, but I thought channel 2 was for Twitch VODs and not YouTube exclusive content, and channel 1 was for YouTube exclusive content." I'm like, you know what? You're exactly right. And by putting the NCAA Bowl Challenge series on channel 2, it adds a layer of confusion, and people don't know what the heck's going on. So that really, for whatever reason, that comment at that time really struck home, because it went against what I was trying to do. And I think I got wrapped up, especially after talking to Deadly Slob. And I think that's like the danger of, taking advice from other people as opposed to kind of dialing in yourself. Not that, and Deadly Slob didn't, it's completely my decision. But you just gotta be careful what you change and what you don't change. And I feel like seeing what worked for Deadly Slob worked for Deadly Slob. And I feel like when you have conversations with other people about their YouTube experience versus your own, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. And I think I may have got too dialed in, and I think I 100% got too focused in on worrying about views, because oddly enough, it was one thing that he told me that kind of stuck, that maybe took a while to stick in. He said, "Don't worry about views," and so I think once I've fully consumed and adapted that mindset and moved NCAA to channel 1, it's funny, something funny happened, and recording YouTube videos all of a sudden got a whole lot easier. All of a sudden, recording 2 exclusive YouTube videos, one for NCAA and one for Slay the Spire, got a heck of a lot easier, because I wasn't worried about how many people were watching. I was just worried about having fun, making an engaging video, having a lot of fun with it, being dialed in, and most importantly, I have the video up of, if you're watching this on YouTube, I laugh. But most importantly, doing it consistently. So I started to Slay the Spires series. I said, we're going to do it for a week, every single morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I haven't missed a day. I said, we're going to do the NCAA Bowl Challenge, a new bowl game every single day, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What do you know? I haven't missed a day. Getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning to get the videos done, not a problem. Pop up out of bed. And I think part of it is because it's like a bit freeing, meaning that I'm making the videos I want to make, not the videos that I think are going to play the algorithm and do the best on YouTube and, help boost the Twitch show. I'm just playing the games I want to play, and it's funny because when that happens, all of a sudden, I just looked at it. One of the bowl games has 1,200 views on it, which is almost as much as a Tarkov video. And to me, it's like, how does that happen? And it was funny. I started to read some of the feedback on the NCAA videos, and a couple people were like, "Dang, Dan, I forgot you were a football coach. I forgot that you coached at high school. I forgot you coached at Michigan State." And some people don't know I even interned in the NFL. So, I just played NCAA and just talked like I would normally. But a lot of people are like, "Yo, I didn't know you were that into it. I didn't know, it's interesting learning about why things happen." And people could tell I'm really into it, because when I think back about it, there was like a gap, I would say, in gaming for me. And I would say that would be during my time of coaching football from like probably my sophomore year in college until after I was done coaching football and graduated with my master's as a graduate assistant. So there's probably like a 4 to 5 year gap where I didn't play a ton of games. I didn't play a lot of computer games. I didn't play a lot of console games, with the exception of NCAA football. And so this has been a lot of fun for me because I haven't played this much NCAA since that time. And I don't want to say reignited a passion. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been kind of cool and creative because during the bowl challenge I came up with is we play one bowl game a day. It's in the middle of bowl season, so there's a chance. And the way I looked at it is I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna do one every single day of bowl season, and I'm gonna have fun with it. But also from the back end fourth wall side, there's a little bit of tinkering I can do on the marketing side or the distribution side of all of a sudden I tweet out the video link a few hours before the actual bowl game goes live. So, for example, before the podcast, the Lockheed Martin Army Armed Forces Bowl is being played a couple hours from now. The video's up on YouTube. I released it a few days ago, but all of a sudden I tweet at the bowl game and I used the bowl game hashtag for Armed Forces. And you know what? Someone may watch it who's looking for content on the Armed Forces Bowl, someone that may be into NCAA football, and someone that may not know a video like this exists. So there's like that extra distribution that's fun for me because it's like, hey, there's a current event going on. We made a video on the current event, and let's just, do I think it's going to bring in 1 million views? No. Do I care? No. But do I think there's a chance for there to be an additional exposure to this style of video as a result of 30 plus, I don't know if it's 30, but 25 plus bowl games going on during the same time? You better believe it. And to me, that's exciting. And the same thing. So I'm really, really excited about that and having a lot of fun with that series, as well as Slay the Spire. I'm going to reevaluate, do the 7 days. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. And it's really kind of helped me by doing, it's funny. And it's almost like, and I know people have different thoughts and opinions on this individual, but I'm just going to use it as an example. I'm not comparing myself to this individual, but there's an interview with Kanye West, and they're just talking specifically about his music, nothing beyond that, because you guys know that, this is the escape from the real world, more or less, and things of that nature. But so there's an interview with Kanye West, and there was a time when he was early on, and most people know Kanye West as a rapper, but there's a time early on when he was working into fashion and really not making any headway. He was really into fashion, wanted to start a clothing line and shoes, and he was kind of like just hitting his head on the wall and saying, look, he's not having any success with that. He's having a tough time with it. And so he's releasing music that was drastically different. And people are like, oh, we want this kind of music. We want the old Kanye kind of music. And he's like, no, I'm kind of taking my ball and going home because, everyone's just telling me just to be a rapper. And I know I'm kind of messing up the story, but people are just telling me to be a rapper and not be into fashion. I'm like, well, I'm not happy just being a rapper. I want to get into fashion too. So he's like, and until that happens, this is what you're going to get. I'm taking my ball and going home. And then all of a sudden, a couple years later, he makes a breakthrough in fashion. All of a sudden, a couple more albums come out, and you're like, yo, that sounds more like the Kanye that we're used to. And in particular, if you're into his music or not, the point is, it wasn't until he kind of broke free in another area that people kind of got what they wanted. And I almost feel that way. It happened in a miniature kind of way for me with Star Citizen. So here we are, and this is, I'm using a very small sample size of 7 days, but the past week put out a Slay the Spire video every day. I like that game a lot. NCAA video every day. I love that. And all of a sudden, just naturally, I'm like, hey, all this stuff's going on in Star Citizen. I want to do a reaction video talking about what's going on in Star Citizen. I didn't feel like it was forced. I didn't feel like, oh man, I got to fire up Star Citizen and find something to do for 30 minutes in the game. And that felt natural to me. It's like because I was kind of freed in the other area, I knew what was going on. There's direction in the channel. It allowed me to just be like, hey, look, you know, there's some cool stuff going on in Star Citizen. Let's do a quick video, have some fun with it. I'm fired up about it. So it kind of, you know, it's just kind of all slowly falling into place. And it brings me like some clarity on the channel a bit more. So it's like, hey, you know, you've got, I've given myself freedom just to play. You know, I'm not going to, if something's really tanking, I'm not going to continue to put it on the channel, but freedom to play what I like to play. And it's funny that when you're truly enjoying something, it shows through on a video. Not that I don't enjoy playing Star Citizen, but it's different when you're like, oh, I got to put out 4 Star Citizen videos this week versus, hey, look, you know, I'm going to do 1 or 2 when it feels right. And I think that's where I'm at. And for me, where Star Citizen is right now is that there's new content coming out a lot, whether it's stuff from the developer side, publishing news, new ships, you know, talking about Squadron 42, they just raised money. There's all this like outside the game stuff news going on, which I find fascinating. And plus all the in-game content, I could see myself doing a video when new stuff comes out. Let's go check out the new stuff, do a video, mess around, and then, you know, get back to the out of the game stuff too. So it's just really kind of opened up a lot for me just by letting go. And it's funny because the videos I'm doing, it's like almost effortless now. And look, let me put a dab of salt on this. It's been 7 days, but it feels like it used to, where it wasn't like, oh, I sit down, what am I going to record? I don't know, you know, do I do a Tarkov video? I don't know. You know, it just doesn't feel like that. It feels like the old days when I was just cranking out videos, having fun, and not worrying about that other stuff. And let the chips fall where they may. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, you know what you're doing here. So you have 7 days to slay the Spire. See how that goes. You know you're going to have about 30+ days of NCAA football in a row. Don't miss a day, no matter what. If you got to wake up at 5 a.m., no problem. I did it today. No big deal. And it's funny. And that's where I feel like other things are applicable. If you're doing something that you're really looking forward to and enjoying, you can get up really early and it's not a big deal. And versus like, I mean, let's just be honest here. Hey, let's get up at 5 a.m. and do 7 Star Citizen videos. It just didn't have the same appeal. And I feel I'm very grateful that the subscribers on the YouTube channel are enjoying it, and you know, that they kind of give me that freedom to say, hey, Dan, play what you want. But at the same time, like, if these NCAA videos were tanking and I was still having fun with them, you know, would I do as many? No. Would I finish the challenge? Yeah, probably. But so I'm not like naive to the fact or saying that I'm like immune to if a series bombs. But at the same time, I got to give a video enough time to breathe, right? You know, if you would have told me, hey, these NCAA football videos are going to get 1,000+ views, I'd be like, all right, you know, I should have been doing these a long time ago. But I don't know. I'm just really optimistic about it. But the point is, it was only through kind of not caring anymore about the metrics and doing what I felt was right for the channel and the most entertaining videos I could make, that, and not just doing stuff for the views, that it started to open up. And I hope at some point, you know, not that I'm over it, but if at some point, you know, if I get back to that where I'm just doing stuff where they're starting to creep because I get like enticed by just making things for the views, maybe I'll come back and listen to this episode as a reminder of like, Dan, if you're listening to this somewhere down the road, just do the videos you want to do, not what's going to get the most views, because in the end, that's what's going to work long term anyway. So that being said, that was super. I'd call it a big win over the past week. Another thing that's been going on is on Twitch, I have a new game picked. I haven't announced it yet, so I don't know if you guys know the live stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start with Tarkov, which we got to talk about some Tarkov stuff in a second. We start with Tarkov, and we end with a single-player game. Closing out the after we beat Dark Souls 2, I've been just sprinkling in some roguelikes, having a lot of fun. Played some Dead Cells with Twitch integration, which is a really sorry, I just have the NCAA football video up as the background. We broke a big one here. But playing Dead Cells with Twitch integration, and it's been the coolest in-game integration use of with the use of ease I've ever seen in my life. So basically, you log into Dead Cells, you tie in your Twitch account, and there's probably 5 to 8 different ways right off the bat that Twitch can get involved in the game. It's a roguelike platformer. It's really, really cool. And chat and the community really enjoyed it. And I think it was good to kind of experiment with that. But as we wrap up the new year, I know probably the week after Christmas, so that must be January 1 or in that time frame, we're going to start the new game. It's a short game, but I'm excited about it, and then we'll move on to the next Souls game. So it's kind of got that checked off the list. We'll probably do like a trailer announcement on one of the live shows to talk about the next game. And the other cool thing that happened this past week, which is, talk about stuff that comes out of left field. So Team Unity, which is our Tuesday night broadcast, we've been doing it in March. March will be 2 years, which is pretty crazy. But myself, Northern Lion, Lasker Wolf, and Michael A.L. Fox, we started the new game for Team Unity Tuesdays of Minecraft. And it's kind of funny. It's become full circle to me because that was the first game I ever streamed on Twitch back in December of 2012. And to come full circle and play the game 7 years later, is that 7 years? No. 6 years later, it was like a really refreshing experience and a reminder of how good that game is, especially because it's in a different context. I'm playing with 3 other people. We're playing with a mod pack. But man, does that game stand the test of time. And if you haven't played it in a while, look at it. Just forget how fun it is and really how open-ended it is. And for me, I enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to playing more because it was so unique for 4 different people to play this game, and we all kind of fell into these natural roles and just had a good time with it. And what was even more surprising, because this is an older game, man, Minecraft's been around for a while, is just to see the community feedback. Like, people are fired up to see it. They're like, hey, I got a bunch of tweets saying, hey, Dan, can we get one before Tuesday? And it's just, you just never know what's going to work. And it's one of those things that worked from a group standpoint. Everyone in the group had a lot of fun with it. Everyone kind of had their own thing going, but having fun together, and everyone enjoyed watching it. So it's just kind of one of those rare things that kind of fit well. And I just felt it was a little ironic, or that we're playing such an old game, but still has that draw 6 years later. But in addition to that, one of the things I did want to mention was I didn't get too much into it for a reason, and I'm not going to get into it, but I'm going to tell you behind the scenes kind of how I process things is the makers of Escape from Tarkov and a streamer. I'm not going to talk about, my thing is I don't comment on other people's stuff, but there was an issue between a streamer and the makers of Tarkov. And there were a couple people in a lot of people in the Tarkov community took a stance on it. And for me, I saw this kind of transpire. I looked into a little bit, but I knew right away, I didn't really have any interest in talking about it on the live stream. My concerns when this happened were, how do I protect the community from what I think's about to happen? So what happened was you had 2 people you had a lot of people kind of rise up, in one direction or another. And so some of the fan base of Escape from Tarkov got riled up and said you shouldn't support the developers and things of that nature. And my stance on this, and I talked to a few of my friends in the community behind the scenes just to see how they were dealing with it and some inside baseball. But for me, I have no interest ever in commenting on drama or conflict between people. That's just not in my MO for a couple reasons. 1, you never know all sides of the story. 2, you don't know the people involved. And 3, and most importantly, that's not what the community is about. I wouldn't want people in the community talking about other streamers' drama or problems they have with a game developer, a single person in the game development. That's just not what the community is about. And I would never comment on that. I like reacting to stuff. I like commenting on, giving a really top layer, topical take on a lot of things, like, hey, what do I think about Star Citizen taking $46 million in private money? But you guys know me. I'm not overly critical about things or negative, or I don't like to talk and comment about that stuff, because what we've built around the community is keeping things positive and being like a little bit of a shelter away from all that noise. And to me, it's a no judgment zone, right? Like if that's what you're into as a streamer or someone who creates videos on YouTube, more power to you. But that's not my MO. That's not what the community is about. And, I just have no interest in that. So I took a little bit of a stance. The stance that I took, and I told the mods, because I just didn't know. I didn't know if people were going to come into the chat when we stream Tarkov. And I didn't worry about it too much and say, and worried about, people coming in and just being disparaging towards the game or towards us because we were playing the game. And I just gave the mods a heads up and said, hey, look, I don't know what's going to happen, but here's our stance on it. And just so they were prepared. And I don't know if I did a great job preparing the mods, but I just knew there was a chance something like that could happen. And so I said a little bit of something on the show about our take on it. But, stuff like this is going to continue to happen in different games, different communities. And for me, my take on it is pretty firm. And I think it's, and it will never waver. Because if it doesn't have to do with our community directly, doesn't have to do with someone I know personally, I'm not going to comment on another streamer, another channel, any interpersonal, problems or disagreements. And I think that's what people hope to expect or should expect from the channel and the community. So that was something, but at first I just didn't know, for something like that to happen to a game that we stream on a daily basis, it presented a unique hurdle that we had to address, right? So I knew when that came up, I couldn't just kind of turn a blind eye and not be prepared for our approach to it, because I knew people in the community might ask, and I didn't want to wing it, but at the same time, I didn't want to watch 3 videos, 20-minute videos getting into the situation, because at the end of the day, it's just not why I make videos. I don't make videos and I don't stream to get into, interpersonal issues. I stream to make people smile, laugh, entertain, and kind of walk away from, like I said, be a shelter from that stuff. So that was kind of some really unique hurdle that came up, but I think we handled it pretty well. And as a community, I was actually not surprised by the community, but there really wasn't any sort of like influx of people, at least that I saw. Maybe the mods did a great job of it, coming in and impacting the stream in that kind of way. Not that it would impact the stream anyways, but I didn't want to have it, I didn't want to not be prepared for it. Anyways, so with that being said, I want to wrap things up with the question of the day. And this was from Useless Fodder on Twitter. And he said, can you talk a little more about stream/family balance? So I won't talk on a pontificating or, soapbox type way. I'll just tell you what's worked for me is that, when I set the schedule for the show, I set it in a fashion that allowed me to operate within the confines of my family, where I can still take care of what I want to and need to at the home front, i.e., be home, hang out with my 2 boys and my wife, but still, have the framework to do what I need to do. And if I have to work extra, or if I want to work extra, I can still do that. But I think, my best advice would be to not just kind of wing it, right? So come up with your ideal schedule and then stick to it and grind it out. Not to say that like things don't come up. For example, on Wednesday, I started the show an hour later. I knew I knew I had to make that adjustment on Sunday. So when I set I always tweet out the stream schedule Sunday night, so people that tune in the show know if there's anything out of the ordinary. But I knew Wednesday we had a family event in the late morning. I wasn't sure I could make it back to the studio or office by 1 o'clock. So I'm like, hey, let me just let everyone know the stream's going to start an hour later. And I don't love to do that kind of stuff. Like, I don't love to like push the stream time, because I know people expect it most of the time at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, if I set a time, I'm going to stick to it. But, there's certain occasions, right? Like a special family thing that comes up. I have no problem, pushing the show an hour one day, one day a quarter for a family event. And that's why I set up the schedule. I set it up because I had a little bit of foresight that things would come up every now and then, but I know for the most time I could stream at this time uninterrupted, put on a good show, and then still take care of, the family things that, I don't want to say not obligated, but the things that I want to do in kind of, my duties as a dad and a husband. So, so I think that's the thing, just being prepared. And at the same time, I can't really tell anyone what's going to work for them. You just kind of got to try it and work it for yourself. I will say though, in the early days, like of streaming, I would just stream without a schedule. I'd stream a very long time. There's even times now, even some of the Friday shows that I do, they go pretty long. And internally, I know I got to be careful with that. And I have an internal dialogue with myself about that, saying, hey, look, because there's times when like I'll have some time. I'll be like, hey, I could go hop on the stream for 2 hours unexpectedly. And I'm careful about doing that because if I'm going to do that, I want to do it in a scheduled fashion and give people a heads up, because a 2-hour stream can turn into a 4-hour stream, can turn into a 6-hour stream pretty quickly. And I feel like I'm at my best when I'm scheduled, meaning that I know I have enough time to take care of everything I need to. And if I deviate from that schedule a lot, then that's when I get myself, behind the 8 ball. So, but the only way I know that is by going through it and having the ups and downs. But I would say in terms of, balancing that, the other thing that's extremely helpful is, a very supportive family. In particular, my wife, she gets it. She understands. She knows Tuesday nights is, I don't know if she knows what Team Unity is, but she knows I'm streaming from home, and I just work with her to make sure the schedule works for everyone. And she's super supportive, and it makes it. I don't want to say. She makes it easy, she makes it easy to do what I need to do. And I'm super appreciative of that. So I hope that helps. But my best experience I can share with you is on the front end, set the schedule that works for both you and your family. And I would maybe say for your family and you, because, things can be right with your show and your stream, but if things aren't right at home, it's going to impact your stream. So you got to make sure everything works and kind of take it from there. But with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this episode 19 of the podcast. I believe this is the last one of 2018. We got 19 episodes in this year. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Be safe, be happy, and if you take days off, take your days off. Don't be half dialed in and checking your email. I'm gonna unplug a day or two, and that's about it. I'd say probably no more than a day or two. But thank you guys so much for all the support. Have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Later.